I'm Trevor, and you're watching my technical music design demo reel. Let's take a look at a couple games I scored and designed music systems for. In Pigeon Simulator, players need to take off and land very frequently, so I built a hybrid vertical and horizontal system in Wwise. This system uses different horizontal arrangements for flying and walking, as well as vertical layers that fade in or out based on gameplay. Here's what that sounds like in context. Each musical phrase has a walking version and a flying version. Right now, you're hearing the walking version of the A phrase. Now we're in the B phrase, but when the player takes off, we'll hear some woodwinds enter over top of it. Since we're still flying when we hit the C phrase, Wwise will play us the flying version of that phrase. As players continue to fly, more orchestral layers enter, giving a majestic feeling to staying aloft for a minute or more. The same is true in reverse. After the player lands, Wwise will switch over to the walking version of the next phrase. This system feels so much better than just fading a layer in or out based on whether or not you're flying. And Wwise gives us all the tools we need to achieve it. I set up a playlist for flying and for walking, and nested them inside a music switch container. Then, I used transition rules inside of that container to designate that leaving the walking A phrase for the flying playlist has the specific destination of the flying B phrase. Leaving the flying B phrase for the walking playlist, your destination is the walking C phrase, and so on. Of course, our players are likely to take off or land in the middle of a phrase, and so I asked our programmers to set up a flight intensity parameter that would tick upwards as soon as players took off. This parameter is tied to an RTPC which controls two things. The first is fading in the woodwind accompaniment over the walking phrases for when the player first takes off. And the other is to fade in the thicker orchestral layers over the flying phrases for when players stay in the air. Now this is all just for basic exploration. Pigeon Simulator also had a custom yarn spinner system for side quests that required the ability to transition to specific emotional or environmental feelings within the music. Here's one such transition into a spooky setting. Each emotional state also had its own RTPC that could scale the intensity of that emotion up or down. In this case, from somewhat cartoonish to genuinely scary. When leaving one of these emotional states, there was also a musical tag to let you know that the section was finished, and a short pause before exploration music returned. My client for this spaceflight simulator game wanted to build their sound and music systems entirely in Unreal Engine without Wwise. Having just completed a course on Metasounds and Blueprints, I was up for the challenge, but I wanted to be sure to recreate the pre-entry and post-exit functionality in Wwise, as well as the ability to play intros before beginning a musical loop. The system I built has two reusable parameter patches. The first is based on the BPM to seconds node, which gives us a pulse that we can count and compare to the length of our intro, and then count and compare to the length of our loop. The first patch sends a signal to our second patch, where a trigger sequence node is waiting. This node alternates between two wave players, triggering pre-entry bars from the next player whenever the previous player is nearing its end. Add some volume controls, and you can even turn on and off multiple layers by executing trigger parameters in a blueprint. These parameters can be tied to almost any gameplay event. They're built into our action dispatch system, which uses blueprint components to send those parameters to our level music metasound. The global music metasound lives inside of our level blueprint, which is handy because it allows us to check music trigger parameters against certain variables. We wouldn't want the game turning on our most tense music after we've already defeated the enemy pilot, so the level blueprint checks a quick boolean to see if he's still alive before sending off that parameter. The music you've been hearing is written for a puzzle where you have to fly through the barrel of the ship's laser cannon while it's firing. I used a series of collision boxes to turn on or off our more tense music layer as you enter or leave the ship's cannon. I wanted the cannon to really feel larger than life, so I set up some sidechain compression to duck out not only the other sound effects, but the music itself whenever the cannon fires. Here's what it sounds like. The cannon sequence was a great way to test out just how versatile our music system was, and I think the end result sounds great. Thanks for listening. If you thought that was cool, check out my other reels for my sound design or technical implementation work.